Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raven Renee. If you're new, welcome. If not, thanks for joining me once again. And so today the Lord has for me to share something with you all, and so that's what I'm going to do. So one day the Lord was sharing with me, he really just highlighted this orange, literally this orange that I had, and that it just had literally so many seeds. There was a lot of seeds, right? I'm like literally every single like slice of it, there were so many seeds in it. And then so he had me take note of that and was like revealing truth. And then uh he brought it back again, like a couple weeks later or whatever the span of time was. And but this time with an apple, right? And he was showing me, oh, like there is just a ton of seeds in this apple, and some of them were hidden. And so that, eventually those seeds will become a harvest, and to plant them and not waste them. And so he wasn't literally telling me to like plant those seeds, but like spiritually, and like what I'm going to be talking about next. And so he was highlighting to me that, and so from this, he was really highlighting that it was a lot of seeds that this fruit had within it. And that eventually these seeds will become a harvest, right? And to plant them and to not waste them. And so then he led me to the parable of the seeds being the word of God in Luke 8. And, this is where it talks about the different soils, like the rocky soil, and there was a fertile soil. There was different types of soil, right? We want to be the fertile soil. And so he led me to that parable. And what he really highlighted to me from Luke 8 was verse 15, where it says, "And the seeds that fell on the good soil represent honest, good-hearted people who hear God's word, cling to it, and patiently produce a huge harvest." And so like the amount of seeds that he was showing me, it was just like a ton of seeds, right? That this like apple had, or this orange had. And so the part where it says, "and patiently produce a huge harvest," he was really highlighting that to me. And so he also was highlighting to me Matthew 25. And the part where it talks about, where Jesus is talking about the parable of the three servants, where, like their master entrusted them with talents or bags of silver. And while two of them gained a profit and gained more, while one of them basically just hid it away, right? Kind of like essentially wasted it and didn't do anything with what the master had given him. And so, yeah, the Lord just wants me to kind of expand upon those different ideas, because he kind of all brought it together. And so, the Lord sharing with me, to plant those seeds and not waste them, that connects to the talents, right? In the parable, the master entrusted the servants with. Essentially, the master is Jesus, right? The Lord is our master, and we are like the servants. And he gives us talents, he gives us things, he entrusts us with things, and he expects us to do good with it. He expects us to make good on, and to treat well the things that he gives us, and to multiply it. And so, you know, him saying to plant them and to not waste them, he's wanting you to do, he's wanting you to utilize everything that he's given you, all the seeds that he's given you, no matter how much it is. It's to use, it's to glorify him. And this goes back to him sharing, in July, where he was sharing with me, about not neglecting the calling and the assignment that he's given us. And so he's really been pressing that in so strongly within the past like month and a half or so, of really utilizing the gifts that he's given us and not neglecting the calling, the assignment that he's given us as well, because he has entrusted us with things. And he was sharing with me, I was looking up, okay, just more about seeds, because there were specifically 8 seeds in the apple that he showed me. But I was reading and it was talking about how like the vigor and like the health of the plant determines the number of seeds per like seed pocket or whatever they call it, per, that the apple or whatever the fruit is has. And different varieties have different amount of seeds. Kind of just like how the servants, they each had um, different amount of bags of silver or talents that they received. Um, and just like how we are all different, right? The first time the Lord spoke to me about this, it was with an orange, right? A mandarin orange. And the next time he told me use, with the illustration of the seeds, it was an apple, right? And obviously an orange and an apple are 2 different types of fruit, but they both had a lot of seeds. And so the fruit on the outside, right, like, they're unique in style and look and the characteristics of them and the fruit that these seeds bear. They both produce fruit for a purpose and the design the Lord has given them. And so, it's using your design and using the talents and whatever it is that the Lord has, equipped you with and entrusted you with. And so that also goes with what he was sharing with me about. This is also earlier in July, where Holy Spirit spoke and he was saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And, that goes back to his word in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. And it reads, "But someone who does not know and then does something wrong will be punished only lightly. When someone has been given much, much will be required in return. And when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required." And so the Lord was really highlighting the role of responsibility within this, within what he was talking about. It is responsibility that he's given you. And he also was like just sharing with me the difference in what he was saying, and just like highlighting that, because the end part of that verse, it says, when someone has been given much, much will be required in return. So the first part is being given, and then much is required in return. But the second part of that, it says, and when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required. And so, just kind of like the difference between being given versus being entrusted. And in Matthew 25, in the parable of the 3 servants, it also uses that same word, entrusted, the servant to whom he had entrusted. And so, at least in the NLT. And so, just kind of bringing all this together, the Lord is wanting you to utilize every seed that he's given you, every gift, every talent, and to not neglect the calling and the assignment that he's given you. And then it also kind of goes, in his word, he talks about, when, we're going to have to account for, like, what do we do with, what the Lord has basically given us, what he's entrusted us with. And so, it's really important to not sit on what the Lord has given you. Whether you think it's small, whether you think it's little, whether you think it's much, whatever it is, the Lord has given it to you. And he essentially is entrusting you with it. He wants you to make good on what he's given you. He wouldn't give it to you if it was to be wasted away. There's no point in that, right? Because, the Lord the Lord is truly searching this earth and looking for people that he can use. That's with humble hearts. That's people that are truly seeking him and that just want him, period. Right? Especially more than anything, more than anyone. And that he's truly your desire, and that you're focused on him. And in that, it can be kind of scary to step out and do what he's calling you to do, but it's necessary. We're here for purpose and on purpose and to glorify him. And so it's basically kind of getting out of our own way and doing what the Lord has called for us to do. Yeah. And really just surrendering to him every single thing. I will go ahead and share that, the Lord sharing these things, he was speaking these things to me. I believe, he wanted me to share these things with you, because I think especially when he shows me things in a certain way, it's okay. Like I know it's for me to share with others as well, and not just for me. But he was speaking these things to me, to not neglect the calling and the assignment that he's given me. And again, he has given and entrusted me with much, with a lot. And it can seem like so much, but it is a lot. It's a lot, and it's a lot on purpose, because it's his. It's to glorify him. And it's for it to be all surrendered and submitted to him, because you can't do anything without the Lord, not any good thing. I can't. Right? So, you not being able to do any good thing without him is on purpose. He wants you to stay at his feet. And that brings me back to he was also speaking Proverbs 16 and 9. So I know the verse Proverbs 16 and 3 in the NLT, where it says, commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. So, I knew that verse. But recently, the Lord literally showed me Proverbs 16 and 1. And specifically in the NLT, it reads, we can make our own plans, but the Lord gives the right answer. And so the key to this text is knowing your need for God. Complete humility. You can do no good thing within yourself, your heart, mind, your mouth, whatever it is. And so he was showing me that, right? The need for humility, right? And just knowing your need for him in everything, because you can do no good thing without him. He is the one who gives the right answer. It's like we can try, right? We can make our own plans, right? We can try, but the Lord is truly the one who gives the right answer. And so he's just tying all of these things together. But I really think he's preparing his people to do the work and to send us out into the world and do his will. And so he's kind of, bringing all of these things together. But in Proverbs 16:01, while that's kind of like the takeaways from this verse, he was showing me like this verse literally in this translation. That when you are surrendered to the Lord and seek him on where to go, what to do, he will not only determine your steps, right? He will not only determine your steps, but also give you the right answer, right? Literally. And so he can let you know, right, if you were truly listening and that you heard him correctly, and literally give you the answer. Surrenderance is important. That's key. But with that as well, you can also ask him. Have a conversation with the Lord. The Lord wants to have a conversation with you. And he was sharing this with me, but it's also even just personally how like our relationship is. Yes, he would determine your steps and lead you and guide you. But also, if you ask him, he can also just literally give you the answer. He can literally give you the answer and let you know, like, yes, do this. No, don't do that. It's all a conversation that he wants to have with you, but it's about asking. You know, a lot of times we don't ask the Lord, like, Lord, like, what are you saying? Like, Lord, should I do this? Should I not do this? And sometimes, like, there's times, again, like where he leads you, but even in that same vein, there are also times where you can literally ask him, even if like you get to that place or whatever it is that you believe he's led you to, ask him, like, okay, Lord, what do I do? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Is this from you? If not, I'm not moving. I'm not moving until you move me. I'm not going unless you say go, and I'm not going unless you're personally going with me. And that is something that the Lord has truly shown me that he will. He will literally go with you personally. That goes back to what he was speaking regarding his word in Exodus chapter 33, verses 14 and 17, where he's speaking with Moses, and Moses is like, Lord, please, like, if you're not personally going with me, like, I'm not, like, I can't go. Like, I can't do anything without you. It goes back to that humility and knowing your need for God. And yes, he was going to do the fulfill the calling and the assignment that the Lord had given him. But even in that, he's like, Lord, if your spirit isn't, like, if you're not going with me, I don't want to go. Like, I can't. I literally can't. And the Lord is like, in verse 17, the Lord is like, Moses, like, that interaction is just so beautiful to me. Because it does show that not only will the Lord lead and guide you, but if you ask the Lord as well to personally go with you and let you know, like, okay, Lord, do I do this? Yes, no, what? And if you don't, like, if you don't go with me every step of the way, like, I can't, you know? And so, later on in that verse, the Lord is like, Moses, like, I know you by name and I look favorably on you, and I will do what you ask, and I will personally go with you. Everything will be fine for you. And so there's actually so much in this word, and it's multiple words that the Lord has given me, but he's really tying everything together. And so, truly seek the Lord and just stay at his feet, be surrendered, be submitted to him, and, be like Moses. Be like Moses. And just be like, Lord, if you don't personally go with me, like, I can't. Like, I don't want to go unless you personally go with me. And the Lord will truly make himself known, and he will speak to you, and he will go with you. And so, and it is such a beautiful thing, because he will literally let you know, yes, no, go here, don't go here. And it's not a thing of all these elaborate things. It's just like the Lord will literally speak to you and let you know every single thing that he desires for you to know. And it really is, it's so beautiful. And so seek the Lord, do what he's called for you to do. Don't neglect the calling and the assignment that he's given you, and utilize the talents that he's given you, because he's entrusted you with it. And again, it goes back to whom much is given, much is required. And also, when you're entrusted with much, even more will be required of you. So, yeah, I hope that whoever this is for, that you just seek the Lord and allow him to speak to you. And I pray that this is encouraging, sobering, but it's also so encouraging as well. So, yeah. And I also want to mention, if you have not joined the Radiant Fam, that's the Radiant Life community, all the links will be in the description box below. If you desire quality connections and content, then we have it for you. So check out all the links in the description box below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.